Hey Freckle Crew, I guess how are you guys today? My cat decided to join us today. Are you gonna say hi to them or are you just gonna crawl around all over me and not let me show my face? Are you say hi? You gonna say hi? You're just gonna look? Say hi, kitty. Okay, she's just gonna stand there. Oh, I'm gonna lose you, you better hang on. That's my cat. She wanted to be involved. Alright, so this video is to help anybody that wants to try doing poetry, to teach them how to do poetry. It's really not as hard as you think it is. The hardest part about poetry is you got to get people involved, and you can't just be rhyming a bunch of random nonsense words. When I first started I think I was 9 years old when I first started my poetry, my words made no sense. So when I had my dad read them or my sister, they were like, what are you trying to say? Like, so this is kind of a learning curve. I'm teaching it a little bit. I'll give you guys one of my older poems where it made absolutely no sense, and I'll give you a new one of my more recent ones, so you guys can see the growth. And I'm going to show you what it means to rhyme your words. Are you seriously going to play the piece of paper over there? If you guys hear the crinkling, I'm sorry. Okay, so when I first started my poetry, as I said in one of my previous videos, this guy was my favorite because he didn't care about his, well, he cared. He liked just having fun with his rhymes, and they actually made sense. There were times where I was doing rhymes and they made absolutely no sense. I'm going to give you one right here. It's called Life of Crime. I wrote this when I was young. Let's play some music, though, while I read it. Can you hear that all? Hope we can all hear that. Life of crime. Pinky ring shining like a rhyming dime. Oh, would you look at the time. It's a fine time to play the game of crime. See, what's the point of rhyming dime and time if it's got no point to anything? So I'm just going to continue reading. This is giving you an example of what a bad poem would look like. It's a day to pay the unpaid time, and it's my time to punch you on a rhyme. Your life of crime has a fine attack on your life. Your signs are here to give back a dime, and it must be a fine dime. That pinky ring is a shining sign. Oh, would you look at the time. Stop. Something is knocking at your door. It's your line of freedom. If you give more than a dime, which I don't understand what I meant. Maybe bail money. I don't know. If you give more than a dime, it's out the door and to your right. It's a bright fright. If you give up your fine sign of freedom, then your time to forget. It's your time to forget. That's a prime price that is more than a dime, and you just lost your pride. Your ride on the roller coaster has just begun. It's not the time for you to end your life of crime. I have no idea what I was talking about in this poem. And you know what? If you want a copy of this one, it's in that book that I wrote that I was talking to you guys about. I think it's page... Let's find out what page it is, shall we? Let's see. Yeah, it's page 7. That was probably one of my worst poems I ever wrote, but I was so young, I just figured I'd give it a shot. Now let's read a poem that I have recently written, and you can see the difference that I do with them. Oh, there they are. Alright. Okay, so this one makes a little more sense. This one was one I was just kind of writing and having a good time with. So, let's see it here. It's called The Fall of Rain. Ready for some more music? Make this more of a fun mood. Let's even change the color of my light. That's kind of bright, isn't it? I'm just trying to find one that's like a kind of a smooth, go with the flow. Red will work. I don't know if you can see that or not. Here, I'll show you. I guess it's a little hard to see. Oh well. Let's bring that down. Alright, finally got my camera working on my computer. I was talking about that last time. Okay. Let's play some music. Have fun. The fall of rain. The stream of a breeze that brings upon the rain inspires the beautiful trees that brings fresh growth. No matter if they freeze, only will the leaves seize upon a grassy train. You walk along a trail. You may shiver and freeze. Rain turns to snow. Oh, how bitterly cold. Then only you... Oh wait, sorry. Only then will you stand to admire the simple unknowns of earthly weather. The simple transformation as temperatures plummet. But at the snap of a finger, out peeks the sun, the trees glimmering. As the temperatures ascend, sunlight bleeds through the withered clouds. It makes you feel happy and proud that you see how easy happiness comes, especially when looking in a beautiful beige blue sky. So that was one I had just recently written, and it's got that really good feel. It's like you're just enjoying the simple pleasures of your life. I guess I'm gonna bring this down just a little more, you guys, so you can kind of see me, maybe. Can you see me a little better now? Yeah. I'm a Seattle fan, so you know. But it's just, when you're writing poems, you need to make words that make sense along with the poem. When I was reading this, no matter, okay, so after I read inspires the beautiful trees with fresh growth, no matter if they freeze, only will the leaves seize. So when you think about it, when it's really cold and the rain has already fallen and it freezes, the leaves of a tree grow ice and they freeze, and that's why I call it seizing. It says, you know, when something seizes it stops working. Does that make sense? And I just continued with the same weather example. Talk about the weather, talking about a grassy train. Talking about walking a trail, which you would walk a trail along a grassy train. Does that make sense to you? One thing that we fail as humans is admiring what is our surroundings, just admiring them. People are so caught up in their busy lives, they forget. They forget just to admire what's around them. You know, there's so much crazy stuff going on in the world right now. And poetry, I'm going to read some other artists or authors of poetry to you guys on this channel. Poetry is there to actually really help soothe our souls, make us feel better, you know, understand what life's more about. That was my cat, by the way. I don't know if you saw that. She's just playing with the things. No, there's no ghosts here. And then when you look at, and then it's, again, like in my example of my bad poem, I mean, what's the point of saying dime and time? There's no point. What's the point of saying giving back a dime and it must be a fine dime? It doesn't make any sense. Then you look at this one, it's got more of a storyline. And not every word has to rhyme in your poem. Even if it's every other line or every couple of lines that you're rhyming, let's see. So like, if you look at it, I used beautiful trees that bring fresh growth. No matter if they freeze, only will the leaves cease. Then I said, upon a grassy train, doesn't rhyme, right? You walk along a trail, doesn't rhyme. But then I came back to, you may shiver and freeze. Then you're rhyming those 3 words again. Every line doesn't have to rhyme when you're doing your poetry. And I just enjoy it because it does give some soothing to my soul. I'm gonna stop the music now. So, I mean, I'm gonna share more poems on this channel. It's all about just the rhyme of the right words. It's the rhyming of... My vocabulary is not great, and I said that in my last video. I started off really, really rough. I mean, I have people reading my stuff to tell me whether it makes sense or not. It makes sense. Now that I've grown a lot since I was younger. But just keep in mind that every line doesn't have to rhyme. But you need to bring back that rhyme. So let's say you're using... Give an example. The Haunted Mansion. That's a bad example. Let's say you see a rainbow, and above that rainbow is flying a crow. Crow, bow, it rhymes, right? I'm just using an example. It's not my perfect rhyme. Then if you take something like monkey and jump, that doesn't rhyme, right? It's just about wording it the right way. Putting the rhymes in. You're going to make maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 lines rhyme, and then you'll put a different word in. And then you'll come down to another one, won't rhyme. Then you'll come to the next one, and it's going to rhyme with the last 4 ones you did. I don't know if that makes sense. And I'm going to try to explain it better than you can. I'm still learning this channel. I'm still learning how to do YouTube as well, by the way. I'm trying to figure out how to use all the fancy stuff that people use, but I'm just starting out and I have no idea. Which is totally off subject of what I was just talking about. I don't know why I did that, but I did. Anyway, so back to the fact of writing poetry. If you want to write poetry, please do it. I consider it a very strong outlet for myself. It gives me the soothing, it gives me the peace that I need in mind when I've had a rough day. I'm currently training some new employees right now. Hasn't been the most perfect training. I come home, I'm frustrated, but guess what I do? I sit down at my table, I write a poem, if it's in my head. What's funny is when I'm driving is when most of my poems come, and then it's like, that stinks, because I'm driving, I can't write and drive at the same time, so I want to crash, you know. You guys still want to see me, right? Just kidding. Anyway, so poetry is it's just basically comes from your heart. You're having a bad day, you sit down, you think about it, you think about the positive things in your life, you think about the positive things going on besides all the crazy nonsense in the world, and you just write a poem. Just write one. I mean, look at Michelle Silverstein. This guy was great, and it's simple, like, he was just having fun. Look, too soon, okay? And you guys see that? Too soon is what I'm going to read. You've spilt your milk and dumped the mashed potatoes in your chair. There's tapioca in your nose and broccoli in your hair. Your applesauce is on the wall and nothing on your spoon. I think perhaps I will let you try to feed yourself soon. See, it was so simple. He's talking about a baby eating, and it was just 8 lines. That's all it was. And the first 2 didn't even rhyme. Then you got down to chair, and so the first 2 words didn't rhyme. Milk and mash didn't rhyme. Didn't rhyme with chair. Nose, and then chair and hair. See how he did potatoes in your chair, there's tapioca in your nose, and broccoli in your hair. He didn't rhyme every line, but it still made sense what he was talking about. And that's all I'm trying to say. Poetry's really not that hard if you think about it and you make the words make sense. You don't take stupid words come out like, nobody wants to hear you rhyme gear with rear. Nobody wants to hear you say fish with wish. Well, maybe fish and wish maybe would be a good one somewhere. Just try to work on the vocabulary. Yeah, that's kind of what I want to do today. Just talk about how to write poetry. I mean, maybe it was helpful, maybe it wasn't. I'm still working on my presentation skills. But I gave you an example of a really bad poem. I gave you an example of one of my better poems, and I even used Shel Silverstein. Oop, it's hard. That camera's hard to know. To show you that poetry, it's just a lot of fun. It's just simple rhymes. Some simple rhymes. Don't always make them simple rhymes. You want to make some difficult ones so you attract people's attention. And there are deep meanings behind some of your poems when you write them. I have lots of poems in here that have very deep meanings, and I'm going to get to those. So to finish out today's video, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. If you enjoy poetry just like I do, I want to learn more about how to write it. I've got another book coming. I've got another book on its way in copyright. Actually, I'll show it to you. Well, yeah, I gotta figure out where I put it though. Not sure where I put it, but when I find it, I'll show you that I have a book on its way. It's going through the copyright date right now. It's called Restless. It's a great book. It's a murder mystery. But just to finish out, I want to explain that I'm just learning this YouTube stuff, so my videos are not real flashy at the moment. I'm working on it. I'm trying to learn how to add stuff. My goal is to at least have one video a week for you guys. And so we can try to make the channel grow, the family grow, the Freckleface crew. Yeah, I would appreciate if you guys subscribe, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, you want to know anything new, leave it in my comment section. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. And I'm trying not to be boring. I hope I'm not being boring. I think I'm going to have to find some fun stuff to do as well. Just poetry alone is fun. Yeah, anyway, poetry's great. I love it. So, thanks again, Freckle Crew. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is Freckleface. Until next time, peace out.